Hey everyone, Eggman here with another video, and today we have my currently favorite deck to play in the Dragon Ball Super card game Fusion World during our FB04 meta. It is the Majin Buu Evil, which we did get in FB04. So I want to go over this list. I have some tech options. I also have an example game at the end of this. I also did a big live stream testing Majin Buu in general. This was mostly a different list. This is using mostly TK Top's top 8 list, and then I've kind of derived my own version here based on my own play style and kind of what I wanted from the deck, but also reflecting more on what I've been seeing in this meta in general. So if you guys want to check that out, make sure to check it out. Link in the description for the gameplay. I'm going to have example game at the end, and also some replays for some games I think are worth watching as well. You guys can check that out. So I have one against a Beerus player, one against a baby Vegeta player, and then also the third one, which we're going to be watching at the end of this one, versus a Jiren, which I think most people would say is the biggest deterrent for playing Majin Buu Evil, or just yellow in this format, is that 4-drop Jiren is such an irremovable target for us a lot of the ways. So that's kind of like part of the reason I built this version of it. I wanted to have a way to beat Jiren, and I've beat a good amount of Jiren on ladder with this deck. Now, those weren't like super top players, but it felt like I had a chance against it instead of just like an auto loss, which was, gave me some hope, I guess. So, but the main idea for this leader is that you get all of these effects based on KOing your own cards and getting some additional hand destruction effects too. So leader, in case you don't know, has this effect that when attacking once per turn, you get to draw one, which is important for the once per turn, but it says auto once per turn as well. When your battle card with Majin or Evil Wizard and its special traits is KO'd, switch this card or up to one of your energy to active mode. So being able to get that flexibility, most people look at the way to switch their leader to active mode, but sometimes that extra energy comes up quite a bit. So I think that's something impactful. So you don't get to draw every time you attack, though. It's only the first time, though. In case you guys don't know, you can do the thing, like let's say you're at 4 life, you can attack with this Majin Buu Evil on the front side, draw the card, awaken, go to the back side, and then you can, if you are able to restand it later in the turn, when you attack with the back side, it is a new card. It's a new effect since it's on the back side of the card, so you do get to draw again. So you do get like a double draw. Sometimes it's worth it. Don't get blindsided is like the only way that you can, but when it works out, it feels really nice. So make sure to check that out. But generally speaking, we get some pretty large hand sizes in this deck, 13, 14 cards a lot of the time. We just play really passive. We really just kind of take our hits. We don't really give our opponents a lot of ways to interact with our cards, and then we get to just draw a lot too. So that's why we're playing our draw cards. I'm only playing 2 Bibbities right now because we are only playing 12 targets to find with it, but they are some of our best cards. I will say that probably the best card in this deck is this 3-drop Bobbity though. It says on play, if your leader has Majin and special traits, you get to play up to 1 battle card that costs a 3 or less in Majin and special traits from your hand. And also, when KO'd, if your opponent has 6 or more cards in their hand, your opponent discards 1 card from their hand. So being able to use this effect is really, really handy. Being able to, in general, play out another body, and then you're able to use their KO effect. So it gives you like another target for it. So best one on curve, if you're able to do it, just every time, it's Majin Buu Evil with it. So activate main once per turn, KO one of your battle cards, draw 1. Then if your opponent has 6 or more cards in their hand, your opponent discards 1 card from their hand. So if your opponent has 7 or more cards, which generally most decks do, late into turn 3, you can use the Bobbity, play out the Majin Buu Evil, use the effect of the Evil to pop the Bobbity. They have to discard 2 cards, you get to draw 1, and that's just great value for you. If you keep this active on curve, outside of red, most decks don't really have really great ways to deal with this, and it's a 25k, even depending on what you're attacking. Sometimes you can attack in with it, and then you can do the effect again on the next turn if your opponent still has cards, which is really nice. So I really like the hand control version of this build, and kind of like the slower pace of, I'm going to make sure that you just don't have any cards, which is great because at the end of the game, I have like 5 attacks that you have to get rid of, out of each one of them, and half of them are 30ks, and it's just very tricky for you to keep up with it. So that's kind of like my idea with this, is that we just kind of grind for value into the late game, and then we have this Majin Buu Kid, which this is such a good finisher for this game. It's probably one of the best ones, at least for its cost. So it's a 35k double strike on play up to 1 battle card that costs of 4 or less in Majin or Evil Wizard in its special traits from your hand, which means that you are able to play out Bobbity, which is able to play out one of your other 3-drops, which is really kind. And then so best way to kind of end the game a lot of the time is Majin Buu Kid with Bobbity and Majin Buu Kid here. So this is a 30k attacker that is able to restand itself by KOing one of your battle cards in general. So you get to do two 30ks. Using this effect to get rid of the Bobbity makes your opponent discard one card, but also can restand your leader. So you can have two 30ks, a 20k, and if your opponent's at like 3 life, you can pressure very, very easily with it. So on decks outside of like Jiren, being able to get this extra pressure to make it so they have to get out of every attack, otherwise you have this super big double strike from Majin Buu Kid is really tough for a lot of decks to kind of handle. So it's just a really good finisher that's hard to interact with in the game right now, especially when we're already doing so much hand destruction in the beginning with the Majin Buu Evil. So that's kind of what I've been seeing with this, is that we can get to like some really good late game pressure that it's very tricky for our opponent to have enough cards left in hand in the late game to really survive the double Majin Buu Kid play. It's just a lot of pressure. So because of that, I want to try to get into the late game. I feel like we outvalue better, and that we just put so much poke pressure that eventually our opponent's going to go down to 3. We can do this double combo, and then they have a hard time having enough cards to really interact with us in that point. So as part of that too, we do just generally want to go down to 1 life, not like quickly, but if it just means that we can find cards and it's easier for us to turn on the next turn to make it so that they can't win, you know what I mean, like more fueled on the flip. That's kind of like the big thing about this deck, is like, when are you going to actually just flip to the aggro script and go really aggressive with them? So but to kind of facilitate that, we are playing 4 copies of Yamu. Just draw 1, really good. We're playing only 2 Bibbities because this card only looks for Majin cards in this build. It only finds 12 copies of cards. There are some of our better cards, but they're not the ones we need all the time, so we're only playing 2. I might just actually just put all cantrips in here, but we'll see. 1-drop Frieza is just fantastic still. You'll see in like the Jiren game, sometimes like you really just want to be able to fight for board early game and make them have to make some weird attacks. And then because of that, specifically against Jiren, you don't want them to awaken ever. And so because of that, you're able to get a lot of advantage from you just kind of bullying the cards that are already on their board. And when you do that, then they have to use cards, and then you can really kind of hand control them too. We also have this 2-drop Bobbity. I like this card a lot. It's kind of matchup dependent, but what this really means in a lot of matchups is that this just sits on the board for the entire game. They can't interact with it. Sometimes it draws you a card, even if it doesn't draw you a card. There's just a lot of weird situations where I just need to pop this to use my leader effect or some other effect, and it gets the job done when I don't find the 3-drop. So generally I'm not doing a lot on turn 2 anyways, besides just playing my 1-drop. So being able to play this out, and then sometimes it just prevents my opponent from attacking. They don't want to attack with their their baby, their super babies, or their 3-drop Gohans. There's just a lot of weird scenarios where they just don't want to attack. They don't want to give me that extra card, even though it's just 1 card, right? It just prevents them from doing anything and gets the game to the later part, which is really nice. So I do like the add of this one. And then this card's been good since release. It's a 10k, and it gets you to stun 2 cards. So let's say you need to kind of pressure your opponent just a little bit more before they get to you get to your turn, where you try to just be very aggressive. This Goku does a lot for being able to do that in a lot of ways, so I think that's helpful in that way. We've got our 5-drop, we got our super combo, and then kind of the wrap out the deck, we do have the energy absorption. This card's just almost always been good. It's just super solid, being able to rest a card, being able to draw a card, stun a card too. It does everything, right? It's super good for this deck, and it helps us extend our plays. There's also the fact that it costs 1. It brings up some really good interaction points. Sometimes your leader attacking a second time is not super impactful, and you'd rather just use the energy absorption to prevent them from attacking with something instead. So that comes up quite a bit. I do like to use the freedom of that, which is really helpful, and I think it's a good add for it. And then final explosion, I almost want to bump this to 4, but we're at 3 right now. This is really good for our Jiren matchup, but there's many matchups that just lose a lot of value from this card. Specifically, like Baby, they play like the Glorios are usually just kind of hard to interact with, and even though they paid it for 2, being able to Final Explosion those away, as well as the SS4 or the Great Ape, like all those cards are really good, and you want to get rid of them as soon as possible. So sometimes on 3 or like on 3 going to 4, it's my in turn it's just Final Explosion, but I really don't care. It just means I get to the later game. Next turn I'm playing the 5-drop Majin Buu anyways, so I get a lot of value from that for free and a lot of pressure on cards, and the Final Explosion is not really needed. So sometimes I do this, or like then I can play like 4-drop Goku afterwards. So generally just kind of works out. So that's kind of like the main part of the deck. It's obviously I've been working on a little bit. I think that the ratios aren't 100% perfect yet, but I like the idea of what this is what more of a hand destruction and a testing version of this one. So some cards I've been kind of thinking about too. These aren't all of them. I also just forgot, I'm going to just add it right now. Supernova's been on my mind for a card. This is in TK Top's version of it, and it's just kind of like an alternative copy of Energy Absorption, right? This one gets you more value, right? It gets the draw. It can stun anything. This can only stun a 4 or less, but it does get that offensive pressure. So sometimes you need to get that extra 20k on an offense. So either is good, but I just I like the draw a little bit more right now. So I also was playing a version that was more of like the Wicked Souls version. So this Bobby is just like not the worst card for it. It's a 10k that also can sometimes draw your best cards in your deck. So that's very good. It only finds cards named Majin Buu specifically. So it's not like Majin Buu Evil or Majin Buu Kid. It's only the 3-drop Buu, which we're not playing in this build right now, but has also been another contender for it. Majin Buu Evil, the 3-drop uncommon. This card's just like a good card, right? Like it's just sometimes you need a card that can KO and can attack. This one's fine, right? If you are playing against a deck that actually KOs cards, this is fine, right? You get like the drawback, and that's helpful. More 1-drops, Blind Spot Absorption, which is also in Majin cards, so Bibbidi can find it. This card's nice. For you guys don't know though, this does cost 2 energy for the second active battle, so 1 for the card and 1 additional here, but you get to draw a card and then also switch something to the rest mode, so sometimes that comes up, so that's helpful. Also just a 20k on defense, especially since you do use your leader effect. It's on both turns, once per turn, so if they KO one of your battle cards that happens to be Majin or Evil Wizard, then you get the extra energy back, which means you can then use this card on defense or something like Death Ball. So all those are in contention. And then lastly, Golden Frieza. This card's just good, right? I think there's just so many more decks that just play cards that it costs 5 or more right now. It's maybe the weakest card in a deck like this, but it sometimes comes up, I think. So I don't know. I think it's probably like a little bit too slow, but I would be remiss if I didn't mention the Golden Frieza. So I don't know. Here's the list. I've been having a lot of fun with it. I've been feeling like playing the like slightly slower, more control version of it, where you just let your opponent kind of take cards from their own life, be very aggressive. We just passively gain value. We give a lot of discards away from them, and then we get to pressure them too. Like a 3-drop 25k, being able to like attack twice with our leader sometimes. There's just like a lot of good value that we get, and then that we can kind of press for it. So this is the deck here, and let's go to our example game. All right, here's our match versus UUU. I'm using the Majin Buu Evil versus their version of Jiren. This is during my grind to Masters that I did mostly offline, meaning I didn't stream it, but we did go approximately 14-3, and we did have some good results. But again, Jiren is a bit of a tricky matchup, but I think we can find some ways to get value from them as well as get around their 4-drop with the our absorption or our explosion card rather. So we're just going to play our 1-drop here. We're going to use that to draw a card, get another one, and just pass it back to Jiren here. All right, they're going to charge their 5-drop. They're going to attack into our leader, and we're likely going to just take any of these easy attacks. Pretty easy here. So we did find the 3-drop, and we have both 3-drops in hand right now, which is really nice. And we're going to pass it back. So both of us, I think, are just kind of like later game decks. So we're just playing our 1-drops here. All right, going to attack in, give them another damage there. We're going to play another Yamu here, draw 1. And then we have 3 super combos already, which is quite strong, and the Bulma. So playing this for 1, going to pass it. This is going to help himself awaken if we need to, which I think in this version I decide to, just to get a little extra pressure and card draw. So yeah, we're going to use the effect. We're going to rest the 1-drop there, and we are going to go down to 5, which is going to be helpful. And they're going to play the Roshi for 1. So I was worried about the Whis. I'm actually going to save this real quick and see what they do afterwards. We also get this kind of fun little play after here too. So they do have the 1-drop Whis there. Going to use it to give the -5 to my Yamu, and then likely attack into the Bulma afterwards, which it ends up being the case. 10 to 5, going to take out the Bulma. But we're going to be at 3. They have 8 cards in hand, which is quite important to know, which I'm really happy the online client is such a good way to show cards in hand. But we're going to play the Babidi for 3. This is going to use the effect to play our Majin Buu Evil there. We're going to attack 5 into 5 into the Roshi. We're going to be able to use our leader effect, or sorry, our 3-drop effect here to get rid of the Babidi. We get to draw a card. They have to discard not 1 but 2 cards, which is pretty nasty, especially against Jiren, which they generally have like a lower hand size towards the end of the game. We're going to attack into the Whis, and then I don't want to just have them play 3-drop Gohan and be able to get rid of this, so we're just going to pass from there. But they still have quite a large life total, which is good for us. And they're just going to go right into us. So we have now 4 life. They have 3 with the marker, so they're going to play our big bad boy Jiren, the Terrifier of this deck. And they're going to hit us down to 3. But we found all 4 super combos, so life can't be that bad. And now, just on time, we have both of these. So we do need to hold on to both of them. We are going to attack into their leader and awaken. So we're going to be a 20k Majin Buu Evil. They're going to combo with the Piccolo from hand as well as the one on board. This puts them down to 5 cards in hand, so they don't, play into the effect here. But then they just kind of play right back into it. So going down to 15, we're just going to use it to pop ourselves because we know it's likely that they can get rid of us anyways. That also means we get to draw again. There's our 3rd copy of it, so we're sitting pretty. We just need to get to that 6 energy now. So we are going to stall out the game just a little bit. All right, they're going to stay at 6, and then we're going to play our 4-drop here. And we're going to just likely attack into their leader. Yeah, I guess we didn't need to attack, but I do appreciate the pressure here. Yeah, we probably could have just kept active if we were worried about this getting removed in one way or the other. But I also want to try to pressure them as well. So they're going to use the 2 energy to play Glimpse of Hidden Arrogance. So they have a 30k out. They're going to use it to add a Whis, which I feel like there's probably better cards to there. But they're going to use the Jiren here. And they're going to hit us down to 2. So we're in a little bit of trouble here. They're going to play the 1-drop Whis once again and just pass. So now that they're at 5 life, I do want to be able to hit them from 4 to 3. So we're going to start off with this 20k attack, which they will get out of. We're going to go 25 here. And then this is the real important part. So we're going to play this for 5 here. We're going to use the effect. We're going to play out the Babidi for 3, and the Babidi for 3 is going to be able to play out the Majin Buu Evil once again. So they have 6 cards in hand, but I'm actually going to do this. We're going to hit them for 45, 55, and this is going to pretty much tell them that they have to awaken, unless they just want to use a lot of cards from hand. And then from there, we're going to be able to KO this. They lose 2 more cards of the 2 cards they just added back to their hand. And then I'm just going to actually pass because I don't want to give them the chance to awaken and use the effect. So we're going to leave 1 open. I could have maybe played the Bulma out if I really wanted to, but with that Whis there, it didn't feel worth it. So they're going to attack into here. A little bit worried about them playing out a 5-drop to be able to KO my board, but we're actually just looking like defending this. So 25 into 30, Again, we are like a low life total, but our hand size has been so big throughout this game that we're not really worried about anything. All right, and they're playing the second Jiren, which is pretty intimidating. It's going to be 30k. And I'm pretty sure they're just trying to keep their hand size as low as they can. Yeah, they're going to even play out the Marcerita. So this is a lot of pressure. Just trying to whittle down my hand. And they're going to get 2 of my super combos, right? They got that far. But this is where the power really comes down. So like obviously like we did get lucky and we did get 2 of these explosions here, but they can definitely help a Jiren matchup. So we use both of them both on Jiren. Jiren has 1 protection, but they don't get double protection. We're going 25k leader, and they're just gonna have to take that. So they concede after that. I totally understand why, but the matchup's not impossible. I felt like I was in control for most of that. It was because I did see the double final explosions, and even there's a chance I bump it up to 4 copies. But I do think that there are ways to interact with some of these matchups, and because I've been able to beat some Jirens, even though they are on ladder, I'm not going to say they're the best Jiren players in the world, but it makes me feel like this deck might be a little bit more viable than I originally thought. So I've been having a lot of fun with it. Pretty successful too. Again, we are in master. It took just a couple hours for me to grind from gold 1 to there. So it's been in a good spot. So that's the list for me. Let me know what you guys think about it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And I'll catch you all next time.